Hello and welcome to one of many videos designed to increase awareness and understanding of programs that affect the quality of life of enlisted soldiers. I am Command Sergeant Major Wardell Jefferson, the U.S. Army Human Resources Command Command Sergeant Major. The Army cares deeply about our soldiers and their families. Sometimes events take place in our families' lives that require a soldier's presence in a location for humanitarian reasons and not Army readiness or career development. All services have humanitarian programs, and in the Army, we call this program Compassionate Actions. In this video, we will familiarize you with the Compassionate Actions process. First, let's start with the definition of Compassionate Actions in accordance with Army Regulation 614-200.
Compassionate actions are requests from individual soldiers when personnel problems exist with their authorized family members. For the purpose of a compassionate, an authorized family member includes spouse, child, parent, minor brother or sister, person in local parentis, or the only living blood relative of the soldier. Other persons, including parents-in-law, may also be considered, provided they are documented as authorized family members. Compassionate requests must be initiated by the individual soldier concerned. Spouses of soldiers enrolled in the Married Army Couple Program will receive compassionate consideration unless otherwise indicated in the remarks sections of DA Form 3739, Application for Compassionate Actions. However, this does not guarantee favorable consideration. Compassionate consideration will be given for problems that cannot be resolved through the use of leave, correspondence, power of attorney, or the help of family members or other parties. Compassionate consideration will be given only for family members, as explained earlier. A family member includes spouse, child, parent, minor brother or sister, person in local parentis, or the only living blood relative of the soldier. There must be a valid MOS and grade authorization at the requested installation or activity. The Director of Enlisted Personnel Management Directorate, Human Resources Command, may waive the MOS and grade authorization when a valid MOS and grade authorization does not exist at the requested installation or activity and the Office of the Surgeon General has a recommended approval. Waiver of MOS and grade authorization will only apply to extreme cases involving the soldier's spouse or child. Soldiers having an unfulfilled enlistment commitment must sign a waiver statement if their compassionate request is approved. Soldiers requesting compassionate reassignments from OCONUS locations where medical care for family members is not available, as determined by an appropriate medical authority, must submit appropriate medical documentation verifying care is not available. The following are the types of compassionate actions that we do. There are two types of compassionate requests. One is when the personal problems are temporary and can be resolved within a year, and the second type is when the personal problems are not expected to be resolved within a year. The following criteria is in addition to the previous listed criteria for temporary problems. It must be temporary and resolvable within a year. It must not have existed prior or was it foreseen at the time of the latest entry on active duty. The following are examples of temporary conditions that normally warrant approval. Terminal illness with less than 12 months life expectancy of an immediate family member documented by attending physician. Scheduled major surgery for the soldier's spouse or minor child with 12 months or less recovery. A recent severe psychotic episode involving a spouse or child. Soldiers' minor children are being made wards of the court or placed in an orphanage or foster home as a result of family separation. Adoption cases in which the home study has been completed and a child is scheduled to be placed in soldier's home within 90 days. The following criteria is in addition to the previous listed criteria for temporary problems not resolved in 1 year. A second PCS in the same physical year is not involved. A valid requirement for the soldier's grade and MOS must exist at the desired location. The following are examples of problems not resolved in a year that normally warrant approval. Extreme family problems that cannot be resolved through the use of leave, correspondence, power of attorney, or the help of family members or other parties. A recent death in the soldier's family, child, parent, minor brother or sister, person in local parentis, or the only living blood relative of the soldier. Serious chronic health conditions or disabling allergies that will be aggravated by climatic conditions.
Sergeant Major, as you may be aware, I was recently married and my stepson now needs major surgery. The doctor stated that he needs continuity of care and this should be about 9 to 11 months. The issue I'm having is I'm on orders to Fort Polk and I am supposed to report there in 2 months. I'm not sure how to handle this situation.
Well, it appears you may meet the criteria for a compassionate deletion. Your stepson is an authorized family member. It cannot be resolved through leave or help from other family members. So it seems like it would be a temporary condition that is based on a temporary condition for less than 12 months recovery time.
Well, it sounds like I meet the criteria, Sergeant Major. How do I get this packet started?
A soldier may request to be reassigned, deleted, or deferred from AI or permissive attachment. It is important to understand that as long as a compassion request is pending, the soldier does not PCS if on assignment instructions. We will defer the report date once the compassion request is completed if necessary. The following legal issues are not normally a basis for a compassionate request: custody of a children as a result of divorce, financial problems alone or as a result of mismanagement of financial affairs, problems relating to home ownership, an off-duty job, spouse's job, or private business activity. If there is no other solution for the legal issue except for reassignment of the soldier, then there must be a signed statement from a licensed attorney, including the request stating the problem and justification as to why other solutions are inadequate. Some other conditions that normally alone are not a basis for a compassion request include soldier's desire to be in a new area, divorce or separation that is a result of family separation due to military requirements, sole parenthood, pregnancies involving threatened miscarriage, breech birth, cesarean section, or rhesus factor incompatibility of spouse, minor allergies suffered by members of the family due to climatic conditions, chronic problems relating to parents or parents-in-law. If the desired outcome of the compassion request is not favorable, the soldier is authorized to submit no more than one request for reconsideration for the same or similar extreme family problem. The application process is as follows. The following documentation will be included, as appropriate, with DA Form 3739 application for compassionate actions. When it involves medical problems, a signed statement from the attending physician giving the specific medical diagnosis, prognosis, and treatment plan will be provided. It will include the date of onset, past and anticipated periods of hospitalization, period of convalescence, and anticipated life expectancy for terminal cases. The statement will list any other factors that establish the soldier's presence as having a bearing on the medical condition. For cases involving reassignment from OCONUS locations where medical care for family members are not available, will include documentation from appropriate medical authorities stating that fact. Cases involving legal problems will require a signed statement from a licensed attorney stating the problem and the reason why solutions other than the reassignment of the soldier are unacceptable. If applicable, a copy of court order, divorce decree, or other pertinent legal documents will be submitted. In cases involving sexual assault or child abuse, statements from police, social service agencies, and/or examining physicians will be required. A sexual assault case submitted on a family member is not submitted the same as a soldier's expedited transfer request. This slide shows an example of a DA Form 3739.
Okay, well, it's best that you go to S1 to complete that action. Ensure that you complete the DA Form 3739. Make sure you gather all of your supporting documentation from your doctor, your medical documentation that states the prognosis, the diagnosis, and the treatment plan. Ensure you review AR 614-200, Chapter 5. I will ensure that the brigade commander or the chief of military personnel directorate actually signs that document so you can have it complete correctly.
Great. Thank you so much, Sergeant Major. I'll go to the S1 and get the packet started. Thank you for your guidance.
Oh, you're welcome.
Compassionate attachments. An attachment provides the soldier an alternate chain of command for command and control while they are going through a family emergency. Soldiers in a leave status may apply for a permissive attachment in order to submit their compassionate action through the commander of the nearest Army installation or activity, to include MEPS or recruiting command. An Army installation is defined as a unit that normally initiates personal actions. This includes but is not limited to military entrance processing stations, U.S. Army recruiting battalions, and depots. There are two types of permissive attachments: normal and emergency conditions. Under normal conditions, the soldier is granted a permissive attachment as part of an approved compassionate request. These are normally granted for a situation that involve parents, family members who are not a spouse or child, and that the Army does not have an active duty installation close enough to support the soldier. Under emergency conditions, the soldier is in a leave status, and the soldier must have a verified compassionate problem that can only be resolved by remaining in the area of attachment. The local commander, based on soldier supporting documentation, determines that one of the following emergency conditions exist: documented a recent death of an authorized family member, documented terminal illness of an authorized family member, documented recent sexual assault of an authorized family member, documented child abuse, child custody, child protective service cases where the child is at risk of being placed in foster care or placed for adoption. This would include incarceration of an authorized family member with a minor child or children. While on leave, a soldier may request attachment when prior to the soldier's departure on leave, the soldier's request for compassionate reassignment was processed and forwarded by the soldier's assignment activity or installation, and the request was received at HRC. Or, while the soldier is on leave, a documented emergency, as stated above, occurs and the soldier has not yet submitted a compassionate request. HRC is the approval authority for requests for compassionate attachments. The initial period of attachment to submit the compassionate request is 10 calendar days. Emergency medical evacuation of an authorized family member. Soldiers with situations that do not qualify as an emergency situation will be instructed to return to their parent unit and submit their compassionate request through their parent unit. Normally, soldiers who are returned from OCONUS on emergency leave qualify as emergency cases. These soldiers may contact the nearest military personnel and transportation assistance officer. Soldiers who cannot report to an installation should contact Human Resources Command Special Actions Branch. During attachment, soldier's grade in MOS does not have to be authorized at the installation or activity processing the request. Payment of per diem and travel allowance is not authorized. The compassionate reassignment request, if not submitted prior to the attachment, must be processed, forwarded, and received at HRC prior to the conclusion of the 10-day attachment period. If HRC has not received the application prior to the conclusion of the 10-day attachment period, then the soldier will be released from attached status and directed to comply with current assignment instructions or return to their parent unit. Soldiers will remain at the installation and perform duties as directed by the commander. Soldiers will be granted enough free time to permit them to document their requests. However, any absence in excess of 72 hours will be charged as ordinary leave. If the compassionate reassignment application has been submitted to HRC, then the soldier will remain attached until a reply is received. If no response has been received within 10 days, then local commanders must contact HRC for the status and appropriate action. Release from attachment. Soldier will be released from attachment as directed by HRC. Under no conditions may installations grant attachment extensions for compassionate reasons without approval from HRC. The maximum period of attachment will not exceed 60 days. If a soldier seeks attachment for more than 60 days, the action should be submitted as a reassignment, not an attachment. The 60-day period includes the initial period of attachment for a soldier submitting a compassionate reassignment request from a location other than their parent unit. Every compassionate request is adjudicated in accordance with AR 614-200, Chapter 5, and on its own merits and supporting documentation. Some things we consider are severity of issue, availability of family members to assist, OCONUS assignment, if an attachment will help, the Army readiness, and the length of time on station. Top reason compassion is returned or delayed is missing the DA Form 3739, application for compassionate action, if it's missing the 06 or the Chief of the Military Personnel Division's endorsement, if it's missing the prognosis, diagnosis, and treatment plan or on the doctor's letter, if the medical documentation is older than 90 days, and if the family member is not enrolled in the Exceptional Family Membership Program, or if the Exceptional Family Membership Program needs updating.
Sergeant Major, I just wanted to let you know that the S1 was able to assist me. They completed my packet. It was sent to HRC. It was approved. They deleted me off my assignment to Fort Polk, and they stabilized me for 1 year. So thank you, Sergeant Major, for your help. I really appreciate that.
Well, that's great news. I'm so glad that it worked out for you and your family.
Soldiers are our most important resource and the most effective weapon system in the Army. Therefore, we need to ensure that the well-being of their family members is taken care of so that they can concentrate on completing the mission. Otherwise, this asset can make the Army combat ineffective. The compassionate process ensures that we can get soldiers where they need to be when significant emotional events take place in their lives that requires their presence for humanitarian reasons. Now that you have watched this informative video, you, as a leader, are better prepared to take care of your soldiers and their families.